G'day Year 10. A few things to finish up this topic on indices. We're going to look at something called scientific notation. Here are some really big numbers. Massive. Big. Alright, how would you like to have to write them constantly? Or some really small ones. Look at this, 0.000000023. 0.000000035. Tiny numbers or massive numbers. Okay, so when numbers are really big, like this one, or really small, like this one, scientists and mathematicians use scientific notation to write them more easily. And new language is calling it standard notation. So you might see scientific notation or standard notation. But it's a way to write really big and really small numbers easily. Okay, and we're going to have a go. So you might do this with me on your guided notes. And I'll try and go slowly. Alright, so here I've got a really long number. Okay, it's a big number. I don't want to write it like that. I want to write it in a simple form. So I'm going to put a decimal place right here. Okay, because that's where the decimal would be. And I want to move that decimal to here. Okay, so I'm going to count how many numbers I've had to jump to move that decimal place. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I moved it 8 times. And that's really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jumps. So I write 8 jumps. So now I've moved the decimal place. I've got 8.99. 8.99. And here's where the indices relationship comes in. So I'm going to 8.99 times 10, 8 times. So if I put 8.99 in my calculator and times 10, 8 times, so I go times 10, 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 10, I will end up with that ridiculous number. So this is an easier way to write it. Let's try this number, 320,000. So I'm going to put the decimal place where it is at the end. Then I'm going to put it where I want it, right in here, and see how many times I've had to jump that decimal place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I've got 3.2 now. 3.2 times 10 to the 5. So even for not such big numbers, we can write them in standard or scientific notation. So the decimal place is at the end. I want it there. So it's 1, 2, 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3 jumps. So I've got 6.78 times 10 to the 3. Now this one I've chopped off, so you'll have to work out what happens. Decimal place is there. I want it there. How many jumps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 jumps. So we've got 2.0 times 10 to the 6. Okay. Now this is one thing you really have to look at. The number that is out the front of the times 10 is a number that's always bigger than 1 and always less than 10. Okay. So all the questions we had on that last page, they were all bigger than 1 and less than 10. Right, so that's big numbers. If we've got tiny numbers, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to move the decimal place a different way. So at the moment the decimal place is here, and I want to move it here between the first 2 numbers that I come to that aren't zeros. Okay, so I'm going to move it from there to in between the 6 and the 7. How many jumps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. Now, I jumped the opposite way than before, didn't I? I moved the decimal place backwards. So I'm going to put up here -5. Okay, and you remember a negative index means divide. So if I divide 6.78 by 10 5 times, I'll end up back at that crazy little number. Try this one. So the decimal place is here. I want it to go in between the first 2 numbers, there, in between the 4 and the 5. How many jumps? 1, 2, oh, this is weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 jumps, went the wrong way. 4.5 times 10 to the negative 4. Alright, next one. Decimal places here. I want it here, but wait on. There's one number. I don't have another number, so I'll draw it in, 0. So I want it between 6 and 0. How many jumps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. And I went the wrong way to the negative 6. Okay, last one, decimal places there. I want it in between those first 2 numbers I come to after all the noughts. In there, those 2 numbers. How many jumps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it was 10. That was so quick. You can count them. 10 jumps, so it's to the negative 10. Okay? Alright, so I want you, this is going to be a lesson in 2 parts. What I want you to do now is, I think it's question 6 in your textbook, but I've written it down for the teacher to tell you. And you're just going to do that. You're going to change really big and really small numbers into this scientific or standard notation. Okay?